Hello and welcome again to this edition of FiTV. I'm your host, Brad Swanson. We are coming to you from the portico of the Florida Capitol during the 2021 legislative session. We're joined by Representative Snyder, who's working on several bills for his constituents. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Brad. Great to be with you on a rainy Tuesday.
I know, right? We got a little bit of water coming down. It's no big deal. All right, so let's talk about this bill that you're working on that tracks criminals. Tell us what it does.
So my bill, Traveling Criminals, helps address a startling spike in burglaries that we're seeing around the state. So overall crime rates are dropping, but there's been a significant surge in home and car burglaries throughout the state. And really what law enforcement is attributing this to is the phenomenon known as the traveling criminal, who gets on the interstate, the turnpike, leaves their local community where they're known to law enforcement to really prey on vulnerable neighborhoods looking for guns and electronics. So what this bill does is increases the penalty on individuals who travel from their county of residence to commit these burglaries and grand thefts.
Yeah, well, what a great bill, because you think about this, this is one of those, like, how do you find the bad guys today? They're all getting smarter, and what a good empowerment of law enforcement. So that's cool. All right, so you're working on another bill that works on online, it almost sounds like bullying, but tell us what your online bill does.
So basically, we are modernizing the statute to reflect how people communicate in the 21st century. So in times where someone might send a text message or a written threat, that is clearly covered in statute, but there's a lot of ambiguity around open forums, Twitter, social media spaces. And so what this bill does is modernize the statute to allow law enforcement and investigators to pursue true instances of threats of violence or even death.
Yeah, I mean, in this day and age, you think about those online mediums that, people make those threats, and so often somebody wants to just kind of like disregard it and say, oh, it's just somebody online, but there is legitimacy to some of these threats. So the ability for law enforcement to pursue those people is important now more than ever.
That's right, and I think one of the most startling and disturbing instances of this, really we can look back to Nicholas Cruz, who really put down a pattern of breadcrumbs where individuals knew in the community something was wrong here, but because of that gray area in what really constitutes a written threat, this really is the nexus of that series of events as we continue to make sure that our parents, our families, and law enforcement have the ability to identify true threatening behavior and get that reported to law enforcement.
Okay, so let's talk about where these bills are. You've got one that's passed off the floor. You're waiting for movement in the Senate. Where does this next bill stand?
Yeah, so electronic threats actually just passed off the floor as well. That is up on second reading here in the Senate, working with the great Senator Keith Perry, and I know we're both excited to get this one over the finish line.
Well, you know what? It's going to take a great gator to bring these across the finish line. We just had him on the program talking about your first bill, so you two are working together. That's amazing. Well, we're going to keep in touch with you on FiTV. We're going to have you on again. We're going to follow these bills, but when you're not fighting for the free world, right, for your constituents. Right. How do you blow off a little bit of steam? What do you stream? What do you like to watch on Netflix or any of those streaming platforms? How do you take your mind off the world?
So my go-to stream is on FaceTime with my daughters and wife. So Brittany, Elizabeth, and Reagan. That's what really helps bring it all back into balance. Can't go wrong with some good segments of The Office, and so after a day in the Capitol, nothing like Michael Scott and Dunder Mifflin Paper Company to lighten any mood.
I mean, as long as you're not reenacting their diversity training on that show,
that's right.
You're safe. You're not going to get arrested. So, well, look, for now, thanks for coming on FiTV. We're going to stay tuned, and we'll look for a great passage of those two good bills, and congrats on your freshman year and the movement of your bills.
Thanks so much, Brad.
Appreciate it. That's all the time we have for this episode of FiTV. For more great interviews like this one, make sure you hit us up on our social media feed. And for now, thanks for tuning in.